Hello, my friends. Once again, welcome to the Young African Hustlers channel. On this channel, we talk about how young Africans, even the old, but with young hearts, can build financial wealth, financial freedom, and generational wealth. In our African culture, precisely Ghana, money is something that we don't talk about and we don't teach as well. And I guess we don't teach for two reasons. We don't teach because if you have too much, you are perceived, you're attacked negatively, all those things, and therefore you keep it to yourself. You don't talk about it. And we also don't talk about it because very few people around us really have it to actually talk to you about it or share how they got it. So, and we don't teach it in our schools. So it's become an issue. And more people are getting poorer, and fewer are getting richer, right? And therefore we find always an excuse and a way out of why our lives are they are, And even though we've done all the right things, we've been to school, we've studied hard, we've passed our exams, but yet we're working, we are bankers, we are nurses, we are doctors, we are this, we are that. But still our life, we don't feel satisfied. We can afford 3 meals. We can't afford to buy what we really want, and we can afford to treat our family with the love and care that we wish for. And then we are still looking, when we see other people living a certain life, we still envy, we still feel like that could be us. So what did we do wrong, right? And today I want to talk to you. Last week I talked about our mentality. I talked about how we have to come to the realization that what we are going through that is making us unhappy is not normal, and therefore it needs to change. I hope you guys have watched that video. If you haven't, go to the up there somewhere. I'm linking it here. Go and watch it, because it starts with the acceptance of I don't like this. And I share my personal experience of when I moved to Accra, and I was like, Lalai, I'm not going back to my village. This is not the life I was meant to live, and this is not how I want to live. I always envisioned myself differently, right? Even when I had nothing. And I think that realization pushed me, was my support in changing my life, in starting to think differently, in starting to do things differently. So if you have come to that realization now, then let me take you on the next journey, because today's video, we're going to be talking about how you actually can make it within all this crisis. Because what are so many people doing? Everybody is complaining. And so most of the time I stop watching the news, because the news fills you with panic. It fills you with not necessarily negativity, but it fills you with some downfall, like everything is going down. They don't show you what is going up, except when it's inflation and prices, right? And I think that is what is all over the news. Recently, everybody's talking about how prices are going up, rice, oil, basic things. And nobody's really telling us what the opportunities are for us to take, right? So it got me thinking, and it got me asking myself, how has generations, over time accrued wealth? And you can go all the way back, in the 14th century, where the worst happened, right? Where slavery and slave masters, traders in slavery and, pirates were the richest people, because they were discovering, people, and they were discovering, other minerals, right? So they were the traders. They were buying goods and services, which is basically how most of them accrued, and they were using the slave either to build the wealth for themselves, or they were trading in it. Come to the next generation, where we started discovering minerals like oil, like gold, like bauxite, like coal, and so on. And that was another level of generation, and their wealth actually increased more than the wealth of a slave master, more than the wealth of a captain of a trade ship, more than the wealth of a pirate or a trade master who was traveling across continents to actually make money. their wealth tripled that, right? So, you know, your great founders who were lucky to discover oil, to be part of the gold mine, the coal mines in the US and so on, became the wealthiest and still are probably the wealthiest, right? Then that generation lingered for a bit, and then came the age of technology, where you have your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, right, and your Elon Musk, who are building technology, innovation, and creating wealth out of that. And that is the very earliest age, right? And that age came with, again, smartness. So you need to be a computer wizard, right? You need to be able to be, you know, to code like the craziest algorithms and SQLs and so on to create something, right, that can make you rich quickly. Then, you know, again, the other aspect of that skill set was also entrepreneurship. So people that saw opportunity on what other people have created, right, and build products. You know, you look at Jeff Bezos from the US, right, you know, with Amazon. He's just an entrepreneur who saw an opportunity, right, with books and moved it online, and all of a sudden created Amazon, and now he's worth billions of dollars. That era is the closest to us. In this generation, there's a new era, and it's really very exciting, right? And the reason why it excites me a lot is because the field is leveled. It's a leveled play field. What do I mean by it's a leveled play field? If you look at all the generational wealth that I've talked to you about, it all depends on your location, your education, right? Where you were in the world, which is basically your location. But even if you're in Africa, you could sell slaves, but you're not going to make millions from slaves. But if you're in the UK or in the US, you could sell slaves and make money. If you have slaves, you could actually use them to build plantations and make money. If you're in Africa, if you're in India, you are the slave. So you're at that point where you are really count. When I talk about geography, I mean in terms of minerals, if you don't have oil, if you don't have gold in your location, you can't benefit from that. So in the past, generational wealth or wealth creation has been based on a specific, I guess, cohort or segmented people or countries. And when it even got so close to us in technology and in the skills base, I mean, if you're living in a village here in Ghana and you don't see computer, how do you end up coding? How do you end up even knowing what an entrepreneurship is, right? And all that. And this current opportunity that you and I have, it's an opportunity that doesn't really matter where you are. And depending on your value, it depends on where you go. You can go the positivity way or you can go the negativity way. And what I'm talking about is drawing attention. Attention is what people are paying for and what people are making money out of. You can look at in your country, wherever you're watching me from, you can look at anybody that have due attention to themselves. And as I said earlier on, it depends on what your values are. So people have drawn attention to themselves through various means, right? Through being very educative, through being very critic, right, of other people, through creating funny things, right? Through very, very abusive, through just speaking their mind, through just sharing their passion, and through just telling people about what they do on their daily basis. And that attention is what is creating them wealth. Maybe you haven't studied it closely, but take a step back and look at the people around you, the people that you consume, if you're not a content creator as well, right? So this attention has come to level the playing field because it's not saturated only to people that have a specific skills or people that live in a certain country or people that are in a certain geographical area. No. So a lady in Kumasi can pick up her phone and start dancing. And the next thing you know, all the way, he's actually being interviewed on the TV. How? Whoever thought that a lady in Brekum in Sunyai, in Koforidua, in Cape Coast, right? Who is probably even still at school, now being interviewed on the television. Do you know what it took 20 years ago to go on television? Do you know what it took to be invited to come and present yourself on a television? Right? So this attention to yourself and to what you do has leveled the playing field. And we have gurus and big companies behind us. So you don't even have to do it yourself. To start a business, to mine gold, to build a technology, you need skills, you need all this education, you need to negotiate, you need to buy, you need investment and all this. Our current avenue for generation or wealth building doesn't require all these things. Becoming a millionaire now has been even more easier than it's ever been, because we have already the investors, and your investors are your YouTube, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, and they have invested and built a platform for you where you basically take your phone or your camera and you just shoot whatever you're doing, right? And if you don't believe me, look at Mr. Beast. I could give you about 10 people who have just become billionaires from nowhere. Look at Tate. Like, they've just exploded from nowhere, whether during the time of COVID, which is 2020 till 2022, become millionaires. In Africa, it's only politicians who in some way or the other are able to become rich quicker. No, that is changing. So please don't sit there and be complaining about the economy. Our generation has various means of achieving. And I hope that this video encourages you to deviate from the political, excuses that you're giving to yourself. The politics is going to come and pass. What are you doing for yourself? The level field has been leveled now. The playing field is fully leveled, and you have an opportunity to do something for yourself. And therefore, I'm encouraging, if you're youth, take the opportunity, take your destiny into your hand, change it now, because the level field has been leveled plainly for every one of us, and let's take advantage of it. Kudos to all the Ghanaian TikTokers, YouTubers who are making it big time. Go on and go on, because now you can earn the same amount of money like somebody in the US. Unbelievable. When it's a lady sitting in a village in Kumasi, in Cape Coast, in Takoradi, able to earn the same amount as another lady sitting in UK, sitting in Belgium, sitting in the US. Yeah, that is the era I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen it, watch this video 10 times till it clicks. And when it clicks, you will pick your phone and you start creating some attention. But my advice to you is take the right path, because whatever you put here, you're creating your own footprint. I will see you next week in another video.